Have you ever wondered why, after you do the right things, you don't get the results that you're after? This happened to me quite a bit over the years. And when that happens, it's incredibly frustrating. You show up, you work hard, you follow the plan, you're doing everything right, but it still doesn't work. After having so many things in my life out of order, I realized something. Doing the right things is not enough. In fact, I submit to you that you can do all the right things, but still have a struggling business and working entirely too hard for the results that you're seeing. It can feel like your life is out of order. Have you ever thought about those words? Out of order. Typically, when I see those words in my head, I see a sign on a bathroom door or on an old telephone booth. Out of order. Doesn't work. Hmm. Doesn't work. I do all the right things, but it doesn't work. Why? Because it's not just what you do, it's when you do it. Sequence changes everything. In fact, you can be doing all the right things and still feel stuck in a struggling business. You can still be exhausted, overwhelmed, and wondering what's wrong with you. But it's not you, it's your order. So let's talk about what happens when things are out of order. You see, you might be stuck in the illusion of progress. When you're busy, it feels like you're winning. You're checking off tasks, you're building things, launching things, promoting things. You're doing the things that successful people say to do. But there's a difference between movement and momentum. And a lot of times people confuse those two, but movement is not the same thing as momentum. You can be in motion all day long and still not be getting any closer to the outcome that you really want, like being on a treadmill or elliptical. You're working hard, but you're not actually going anywhere. That's the illusion of progress. When you compare the effort that you've put in to the results that aren't coming, it makes you think that you're doing something wrong. But a lot of times, you're actually doing all the right things. However, the problem is you're doing those right things in the wrong order. They're out of order. And you start wondering, am I not cut out for this? Maybe I'm not good enough. And thinking that way leads to frustration, and it can lead to burnout. It could even lead to you quitting something that you're born to do. But what if the problem isn't what you're doing? What if it's the sequence? Let me break down the power of sequence. Let's say you're trying to build a house, okay? So you have the bricks, you've got the windows, you got a roof. Okay, maybe it's a Lego house. Either way, you have all the right materials. But if you try to put the roof on before you lay the foundation, it's not going to work. Even though you're using all the right parts, and even though you've put in a lot of work putting the windows together and getting those shingles on that roof just right. And that's what happens in business and life when the sequence of things is off. You might be marketing before you're actually clear on your message. You might be trying to scale before you've even stabilized. You might be creating without knowing who you're creating it for. Here's the one that hit home for me. You might actually be hustling before you've actually healed. And that one's a little sneaky because hustling can obviously look like progress. But if you're building from a place of fear or insecurity or pressure to prove yourself, then your actions will not create peace. They're going to create even more pressure on you. But when you change the order, everything shifts. So, how do you get back in order? Well, it starts by doing what most people skip. Most people skip alignment. Who are you building this for? Why does it matter to them? And why does it matter to you? And who are you during this process of building? Start by anchoring into your identity, who you really are. Then clarify what success actually looks like for you. Once that's in place, your actions become strategic and not frantic. You go from chasing to choosing. You go from grinding to growing. The steps you're taking begin to flow in the right order, and you actually get results that last. You begin to feel aligned and not just accomplishing tasks. You stop pushing so hard for something that already belongs to you. So if it feels like you're doing everything right, but it's still not working, then check the sequence. You might have the right tools. You might even be following the right plan. But if your business or your life is out of order, it's not going to work the way that it should. When you get the order right, you get the results that you're after all along. You see, a lot of entrepreneurs start with the doing. You want results, so you get busy. You post more. You sell more. You tweak your website. You join the next mastermind. You try harder. Because the logic goes, if I do enough, I will eventually have what I want. But the problem is that when the do comes first, it leads to burnout. You start chasing outcomes instead of becoming someone who creates them naturally. You might hit a goal, like a good launch or a few high-ticket clients, but the satisfaction doesn't last because those wins feel fragile. You're constantly trying to hold everything together. And underneath it all is that creeping feeling. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. And that's not because you're doing the wrong things. It's because you started in the wrong place. You see, the missing step is B. That's the part most people skip. They skip being the right person. Before you take action, you need to become the kind of person who can carry the outcome that you're after. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. When you're not grounded in identity, your actions feel forced. Your results feel inconsistent. And your business feels like a house built on sand. You can do the marketing, but if deep down you don't believe that you're worthy of being seen, then it's not going to land. You can build the product, but if you still carry imposter syndrome, then you'll sabotage the launch. You can hustle all day long, but if you haven't stepped into the identity of a visionary, a leader, a CEO, a founder, then your business is going to stay small, even if your effort is huge. It's not a strategy problem, it's an identity gap. Because when you shift from what should I do to who am I becoming, everything will change for you. You see, when you get the order right, you will get the results that you're after. So to do that, let's flip the script. Instead of trying to have by jumping into do, let's start at be. You be, then you do, and then you have. You be the person who shows up with clarity, with alignment, with purpose. You do the things that match that identity, not from pressure, but from congruence. And then once you be, once you do, then you can have the results that naturally flow from who you are and what you believe about yourself. Here's the thing that I learned from my business coach, Myron. There's the lie identity of what everyone told you that you were and what you were not. Then there's the my identity that you created for yourself to combat what they were saying. And then finally, you have your real identity. And for me, my identity is that I'm a child of the King. You have to be clear on your identity in order to accept who you are. It's freeing to simply be. You see, this is where momentum comes from. This is where forward progress and not just movement actually happens. It's actual progress that feels aligned and sustainable. Because when your life and your business are in order, you stop chasing and you start creating. You stop performing and you just are. You stop overworking for scraps and you start receiving results that feel like you. So if you've been doing all the right things and still feel stuck, if it feels like something just is not working, even though you're trying so hard, then check your order. Because the order of your steps matter. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop doing more and become the person by stepping fully into your identity. Then the having will follow. Focus on your inputs, and the outcomes will happen automatically.